Welcome to the Statistic in DD YouTube channel. I'm really excited to share with you today a piece of functionality that I only discovered recently. It's about the Great Plotly package and how you can add shiny-like selectors to interactive plots so that you can use drop-down fields and checkboxes and sliders alongside your plots without actually writing a Shiny app. Now, Shiny is really a great and powerful tool and definitely one to have in your toolbox, but it does have this burden of needing R running to have a working Shiny app. Be it on your local machine or on a website, you need R running. Whereas what I show you today is powered by JavaScript, so the result is a standalone HTML file that does not require R anymore once it is created. So this is also a great tool to have in your toolbox. The data we're using today is from the World Bank, World Development Indicators, WDI, and the two indicators I'm most interested today are air pollution, defined as mean annual exposure in micrograms per cubic meter, and life expectancy at birth in years. And we're looking at the year 2017, and we want to compare countries by region. So I start out with a simple ggplot chart here on the left. It's a static diagram for the year 2017, and I don't know, the color scale is not the worst, but maybe also not the best. With 7 regions, I find it a little bit hard to compare regions visually, distinguishing all these colors. We could add symbols, but it's a little bit hard, I think. On the right-hand side, we have the same plot, but this time as a plotly diagram, so it's interactive. You get these mouse over effects, and you can find out which countries we see. For example, we see that the country with the highest air pollution on the x-axis is Nepal in South Asia, and the country with the highest life expectancy is Japan in East Asia and Pacific region. And here in the plotly chart, we can also zoom in, maybe to get a more detailed view of certain regions. We can reset our axis then. We could use faceting now to distinguish more clearly between the regions and create subplots, but then we have to visually jump between the subplots. So today I want to go a different path, and I show you how powerful Plotly can be in combination with the crosstalk package to enable this type of interactivity. So we have the same plot as before. We still have these mouse over effects, so it is interactive. We can zoom in if we like and reset the axis, so it's just a Plotly plot as before, but additionally we have these tools on the left-hand side of the screen. So I have these checkboxes. I can select certain regions or deselect regions. So let's start with North America. You see there are only 3 countries: Canada, the United States, and Bermuda. And the axes are adapted so that these 3 countries, the selection takes up the full space of the plot. And now we can add other regions to see how they compare. So let's first add Latin America and Caribbean, and you see now these additional countries put North America into perspective. We have a lot higher air pollution on the x-axis in Latin America and the Caribbean. For example, here Peru and Suriname and El Salvador have record much higher levels of air pollution. And now we can add Middle East and North Africa, and you see it gets put into perspective again. The range of the x-axis changes, and we see that now the North American countries are pretty close by here. In the top left, where you really want to be, with the lowest level of air pollution and the highest life expectancy. So in addition to these checkboxes on the left, I can also select individual countries, and you see that this overrides the regions that we selected before. So I can now just type some countries. Let's compare the United States of America and maybe the United Kingdom, and then Germany, for example. And you see that you can just add in countries as you like. So you can select several countries. Now, when I add Angola, you see how the range of the x-axis changes. Okay, so let's undo the selection again. And the last interactive element I want to show you are these 2 sliders at the bottom of the left control panel. You saw that I can zoom in here but I can also use the sliders to zoom in, and then I have more control over the range of values that I select. So I can zoom from both sides, like minimum or maximum air pollution that is to be shown on the chart, and you see how the chart adapts interactively. And I can do the same for life expectancy and just select any range of values that I like. So this is a great way of exploring your data. I hope you find this useful. And as I said, this does not require Shiny at all. So this is an RStudio window at the moment, but I could open it in my browser. It does not require R, it's just powered by JavaScript. We can quickly have a look at the source code. You can also find it on my GitHub profile to see how these plots were done. So the data is taken from the World Bank, and there's a WDI-R package that helps us download this data. These are the packages I used. So the two most important packages are Plotly and Crosstalk here. Then we see this first Plotly chart just takes a static ggplot diagram that I create here, and I assign it to the object P, and then just pass this to the ggplotly function. This is how I used Plotly for a long time before I learned about these more advanced ways of adding interactivity to the plots. And now for the last tab that I showed you with these controls, this is the code that does the trick. So there are two main parts. One thing is that starting with my data set, I did a few manipulations. You see this is just dplyr code, select and mutate, and I exclude missing values. And the key line of code here is I need to create a shared data object. So this is from the crosstalk package. Shared data $new creates this shared data object and assigns it to the shared_data object. And then I create my plot starting out from this shared data, and then it's Plotly code. So you see it's a little bit different than ggplot2 code. For example, I need the tilde to refer to variables, and I add markers. This is what I would call geom_point in ggplot2. And the second main function is the bscalls function. So in my previous video where I showed you how you can link two interactive plots to make selections on one, which also highlight points or groups in the other plot, I use the subplot function. So here we use the bscalls function to get this shiny-like interactivity, these controls. And then here the main functions are filter checkbox, filter select, and filter slider. And I use list to put them all in one column, and then the Plotly object P gets put in the second column. So this is basically it. I hope you find that useful for your own projects. All the best for your data analysis and your data exploration. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. It really helps. Thank you, all the best, and see you next time.